Hey guys, welcome to General Query. This is Fonz. I go by he, him, and his.
Hey guys, and this is Yuki, and I go by she, her, and hers. Welcome to another episode of General Query. How the hell are ya, everyone? It is today. Oh my God, today's tax day, everyone.
Oh yeah, the last day. Well, by the time they see this, it'll be
By the
too
time they
late.
see this, tax
But
day is already
hopefully you
passed.
got it done. If not, an extension is always an option.
An extension is always an option. We made it through. I have a feeling that, with everything going on in this administration, there's like a line of like 10 IRS employees trying to process the country's like tax returns. So if you're due for a refund or anything, don't get too excited. Wait patiently.
Wait till
Um,
June, you'll be fine.
Wait till June, you'll be good. It'll be perfect time for some summer fun. Outside of that, let's see, constitutional crisis, yada yada yada. I mean,
Same old, same old.
same old, same old. It's just the bullshit that we live
Same
in.
day, different bullshit. No, same bullshit, different day. There you go.
That's right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Mm, yeah.
That's great. Uh, can we have a second to go to church for a moment? And I think it's important that we talk about Lady Gaga at
Oh,
Coachella.
so it'll be semi-relevant because first weekend of Coachella just passed by. So we're
Right,
talking about the first weekend performance. I
right,
wonder, I mean, obviously she's not going to repeat the same thing because every single celebrity does like weekend one, weekend two kind of presentation.
right.
They're typically kind of on the same note, but I'm very intrigued to see what she's going to do for weekend two, which I'm very sad because it's my birthday weekend and I kind of wanted to go after I knew she was going.
Right.
But also, okay. Let's talk about this for a minute
Let's do it.
because this is the reason why I missed Kylie Minogue in Boston too. Because so if I'm gonna go to a concert, I refuse. I refuse to be miles away for paying like $90 or $30.
Right, right.
If I'm gonna go see an artist, I want to be
You want the
smelling
experience.
their pits. I want to be tasting their sweat. I do not want to be miles away watching them from a screen.
Right,
Yeah.
right. No, I completely get that. I really do. I really, really do. Uh, so what he's trying to say there, guys, is that
I'm poor, and that's why I didn't go to Coachella.
basically, which same. Um, yeah. Um, I couldn't I like you said, I'm really interested to see what the hell she goes and does, right? Weekend two.
Yeah.
Considering what she did weekend one.
I wonder if
Um,
she'll be able to top that off. Because I mean, come on.
I mean, listen,
It only makes me want to go to her concert even more.
yes, when we say that Mother Monster is back,
She is back.
she is back,
Yeah.
okay? She to me the definition of a pop star in every sense of the word.
Yeah.
And no, I'm not talking about the ones that go to space. Anyway, Jesus Christ,
I
that was so embarrassing,
look,
Fonz. That was
I
so
like the
embarrassing.
idea of an all-female crew. Love it.
Love that. You know what I would
I
love?
just
If all female crews that work at fucking NASA that actually have PhDs and like work their ass off to get there would love that. Would love to see that.
yeah.
I don't like to see Nepo babies and failed pop stars and then get off that thing that she did where she kissed the ground. Get a grip, Katy Perry.
I
My
mean,
God.
there was a chance that they could not come back or they could die, you know?
You know
But
what? Some people have all the luck, I guess.
but the thing is, you bought an expensive ticket to go to space. Like you said, it wasn't merit, it wasn't anything. It was just,
No,
an expensive ticket.
It was embarrassing. I
Good for
hated
you.
it.
Once again,
Um,
I'm glad it was all females, but I don't know. It was just not okay. The
I
fact
don't
that it
know.
was linked to Elon Musk is just not cute either.
And yeah, no, I don't care. I saw somebody talking about it was like, well, all the feminists should be no, no,
Yeah.
no. See, my brand of feminism is about giving women hard working
Working women, the
scientists.
voice.
Yeah,
Now,
the
this is
voice
not
and
to
the space that
dismerit
they
them
need.
because obviously, yeah, Katy Perry kind of like, worked. She was famous at some point,
Sure.
but it's just,
No,
you can't justify crappy people.
no, the wrong crowd. Wrong crowd. I don't care. And this is the thing. These are the same weirdo people that are like DEI is bad, and I've never seen a more DEI flight to space than that. And by the way, it wasn't fucking space. Okay, let's be very clear about that. But anyway, all that to say, circling back to real pop stars with lasting careers like Lady Gaga. Um, yeah, she looked stunning. The costume design
The
was
voice,
the voice, the vocals on that
everything,
woman,
set, everything.
the set design, her dancers, just everything.
Just the
And
whole creativity behind what she did, ridiculous. Once again, I'm very intrigued to see what she'll be doing for weekend two, but so far didn't disappoint.
no, so far it didn't disappoint. She was amazing. We This is a very personal bone from me. And this goes to you young Gen Zers, okay, that were out there. Um, I can't remember the artist that brought out Brian May from, oh, it was Benson Boone,
Oh
actually.
yeah,
It was
Benson
Benson
Boone. Yeah,
Boone.
yeah, yeah.
Benson Boone brings out Brian May from Queen, who didn't just walk so they could run. He sprinted along with Queen so everyone could have a space at the table. Brian May is not just a bona fide rock star, he's an astrophysicist. Okay,
I'm gonna
speaking
give Benson Boone credit because he's been calling out those fans that
the
didn't know
whole
who
time.
he was.
Yes,
Yeah, like his
yes,
TikToks are full of that. He's like, "Come on,
good.
guys, wake up."
No, I loved it, and I love that he gave Brian May the because it's like you really want to sit there and sing Bohemian Rhapsody and not lose your mind when Brian May. Okay, I'm done with y'all. Done. But also, like you said, on the upside, I did see overnight Brian May got like 1 million followers on
Oh,
TikTok.
really?
And he's trying to learn how to do the TikTok, which is amazing and hilarious.
Yeah.
And he's like adorable on there.
That's like
Um,
us trying to maneuver. Well, you have a better grasp at TikTok than I
I'm
do.
getting there. I'm getting there. But
Yeah.
yeah, I've had the pleasure of seeing Queen with Adam Lambert, obviously. I saw them in Houston, and it was like a life-changing experience for me to get to witness them live. Um, yeah, so when I saw that, I was like, God, this is why you guys get the reputation you get, okay? Because you think you invented shit and you don't even know who the fuck Brian May is. Anyways, I'm not bitter about life at all. Anyway, so
Once
uh
again, I'm glad he's calling people out because he's like, "What the fuck?" And Benson Boone really surprised me with the vocals for sure.
Benson Boone did great, didn't
Yeah,
he?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm glad that
I'm
we've moved on from the moose
I'm
knuckle.
so okay. So it, not that sexuality works. I mean,
Works?
matters.
Oh, I'm like,
Yeah.
what?
What? Not that sexuality matters, but for him, I'm confused.
Like, is he or isn't he? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, I think he's bisexual, but I think, but I know he has a girlfriend.
Right.
Once again, nobody cares. Nobody, it doesn't really matter. He's talented, but for
Very
me, it
talented.
matters.
It doesn't matter, but it matters to me.
Exactly.
Okay.
Just because okay, outfits, I get it. You know, sometimes you have to be a
You
little
have to
loud, et
be a
cetera, et
little
cetera.
flamboyant. Yeah,
But
yeah.
when you talk about iconic outfits and people in the industry that really are loud and whatever, like I think Elton John, I think, you know,
Freddie Mercury.
Freddie Mercury, yeah. These people
Yeah,
were openly gay, openly bisexual, like,
right.
and they wore outfits that matched Juan Gabriel, you know.
Juan Gabriel.
They
Yes,
wore
exactly.
outfits that match the vibe. And then you
Right.
have your straight artists who typically are more, you know, rocker leaning, like for example, Lenny Kravitz, you know,
Yeah,
like
sure.
shirtless, maybe he'll throw a fringe here and there,
Leather
but it's
pants
very
barely
like tamed.
on.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, yeah.
typically very tamed, but Benson Boone in that sense is very controversial. So I don't know if he's pulling a
Yeah.
Bad Bunny or if he's like actually part of the community and he's just like doing his own thing, which is great. If he is, that's amazing.
Right.
Brava. If you're using queer culture, then fuck off.
Quote,
Respectfully.
respectfully. Yes. No, I agree. Um, I loved him. He did great.
I have a friend who's like completely obsessed with him.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's like, you know how I have a weird obsession with gingers?
Mhm.
Like he has a weird obsession with Benson Boone.
Interesting.
Okay, let me clarify. It's not a weird obsession because it's not weird because Benson Boone is kind of hot, you know.
Sure.
But
Sure.
it's like I know he's like he would probably leave his husband for Benson Boone's situation.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, which I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. If Henry Cavill came knocking on my door and was like, "Hey, can you leave your husband for me?" I'd question it for sure.
You'd pause. You'd pause. Be like, well,
I'd be like, "Let me weigh the options."
over under. Yeah.
You have a
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
kid. I don't know about that.
Yeah. Yeah. Like right now, the only thing against you is that you're someone's dad. Like, ugh,
Correct. That's the
that's
only.
that's a huge ick for me. If
Yeah.
someone is someone's dad, I'm like, ugh. It's just
Right.
vagina.
Which I
Sarah
can
doesn't.
totally be an amazing stepfather,
You know
you
what?
know,
Yeah,
but at an arm's distance. Like,
yeah. You'd be the distant step.
yeah,
You
yeah,
wouldn't
yeah,
even be stepfather. You would give stepmother vibes. Is what
for
you
sure.
like.
Yeah,
That's your energy. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
100%. Yeah,
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 yeah, yeah,
yeah.
for sure.
You wouldn't be like a stepdad.
Like, I'm not gonna discipline the child. I'm gonna spoil the shit out of it, but
Yeah.
out of it, but it'll
Yeah.
be.
Maybe give it like an eating disorder. I don't know.
Yeah, 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 yeah. You
Yeah.
know, positive encouragement.
Here and there. That's how we reframe.
Right.
As Kiki Palmer says, I still love that thing. She was like, I don't fail. I reframe.
Yeah,
Love that.
yeah.
I love that
That
level of
would be me.
humanity.
That's why I'm
Yeah.
saying it's a weird obsession with Benson Boone, but you know, potato potato. Your thing. It's my thing. I have a
Yeah.
thing for Shawn Mendes. Why not?
Yeah. That one.
Speaking of celebrities, have you seen Ed Sheeran?
Like in general or
Like lately?
no?
I'm
Have
pretty
not.
sure he got on Ozempic, but that could just be me. But he lost a lot of weight, and he's looking like actually kind of cute. And I'm not saying that slimmer people are cute. I'm just saying like he specifically is looking good. Yeah.
I
Because, for
don't have
example,
anything.
Lizzo. Let's talk about Lizzo for a minute.
Okay, let's talk about Lizzo.
She's always talking about like how healthy lifestyle can change your shape, and she's always been like super athletic and like
Sure.
trying to work out for her health and all that good stuff. But
Yeah.
it's obvious that she got on something because there's no way you can lose that much weight within like a couple months.
Well,
No
right.
fucking way. No fucking way.
No, no, no. And that's
Like
fine.
I'm giving her credit for working out and eating healthy because she has been, as far as
Right.
we know. But I'm sure she also jumped on Ozempic and she completely changed her body and whatever. But I don't know. Thicker Lizzo wasn't bad for me.
No, and I think what's interesting too is the community, the body positivity community, kind of turned on her a little bit.
Well, yeah, of
You know, in
course,
some
because she's always
ways,
been about like body positivity, and then she
which
jumped on
again,
this,
it should be body positivity at
regardless
every
of what the
size.
body looks like. Yeah,
Looks like that's the whole
yeah, it's
point,
like
right?
borderline fat positivity versus body positivity.
Which again, if someone is telling you this is what I needed for me and for my body and for my art to keep going, right? Because that's the thing about Lizzo. One thing that I love about Lizzo is that she's an accomplished musician, right? Like, period.
Yeah,
No matter how you feel about her music. And so her running around a stage playing the flute was impressive, right? If she's saying, I can be better at this if I, address certain parts of my health, then she should be allowed to without repercussions from
exactly.
that,
Once again, it's
right?
the hypocrisy of it all.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
not
Like,
about body positivity, it's about fat positivity, and we're not about that.
right. It's like all the people that got mad at Adele for losing weight.
Which, by the way, she looks amazing.
She looks amazing. And what did she say? I did this because I was a pile of anxiety.
Yeah.
I couldn't
She
function.
she blatantly said a lot of her weight loss was because of the divorce situation and because she wanted to be healthier. So it was a combination of both.
So yeah, so let's stop talking about why people lose weight
Yeah.
or not or
Yeah.
whatever, right? Like
Yeah.
let them do their thing. Like
Mhm.
good
It's
for
their body,
them.
their choice.
Weird. It's a weird concept
That people
nowadays.
don't seem to understand. Anyway,
I don't get it.
but yeah, going back to Ed Sheeran, so he was in Boston to promote, I guess, new music or something, but
Yeah.
he surprised everyone during St. Patrick's, and then again, like 2 weeks after, at a pop up for an opening. Anyway, apparently he loves Boston, which is great. Um,
You're like great for me.
great for me. Eventually, I'll see him. Eventually, I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah.
We'll see. But anyway, the point is, he's looking pretty good.
Good for
All that little like run around and curves and ups and downs to say he's looking pretty good.
I love that.
Yeah.
Good for him. Good for
Yeah.
Ed Sheeran. We love him. Um, yeah, so I think that's been a nice pick me up, like seeing the stuff out of Coachella and seeing everybody like,
Yeah.
you know,
Still very excited to see weekend two, see what people are
me
gonna do.
too. I'm
But
excited too. I'm
yeah.
thrilled. It's gonna be great. Um, and so this week, for this week's episode, uh, I proposed this idea to Fonzie for this week's episode because I came across this video on my For You page on TikTok of this mom who was doing a get ready with me for my son's prom. And you start watching this video. You're like, okay, she's getting ready. And she's saying weird stuff because when she says, let me get ready for my son's prom, you think, oh, she's getting ready to like
Take
help her
him to,
son to,
yeah,
yeah, right?
drive him to prom or drive him to
To the
dinner.
Cheesecake Factory, yeah,
Correct.
whatever,
Yeah.
right? Um, but as it goes on, Fonzie, you're like, wait, she's doing her makeup and she says, oh, I didn't have time to get like a professional makeup artist, but all that matters is that he thinks I look pretty. And you're like, okay, okay. And she's like, wait till I show you guys the flowers I went and bought for myself so he could give me. And you're like, wait, is it what's going on here? And she keeps going and going, guys, until we get to the end. She's her son's date to prom. She made her son take her to prom.
Barf.
Barf. And I was so befuddled that I like went back on her page a little bit ago. I was like, it has to be satire, right? No, she's dead serious. And so I told Fonzie, we have to talk about this. We have to talk about boy moms. Okay? Boy moms. When I told Fonzie this term, he had no idea
Yeah, and it's
what I was
different
talking
from what
about.
I read. It's different from being a mama's boy. Like this is
Very
a
different.
reverse mama's boy situation.
This is like pathological. This is
It's
giving,
borderline incest.
this is, yeah, like Freud, like got up from his grave like this and like downloaded Instagram so he could be like, see, didn't I tell you guys about this? Like,
Right.
so in that
So
spirit,
before we
tell me,
get into it,
tell me.
let's try to decipher where this kind of trauma comes from.
Perfect, perfect. I love giving medical
This is
opinions as a
my
non-doctor.
hypothesis,
Yes.
right? And I wish we could. Well, hopefully your brother listens to this, but um, I think I'm, on the nose on this one.
Okay,
Where
hit me. What do you think?
I think it comes from it's a pattern. So they
Okay.
probably saw this with their parents.
Okay.
So these moms probably saw this favoritism with their siblings, and they saw how their moms favorited the guy. And so
Sure.
when they had a man or a boy, they were just infatuated with this idea, and then it just trickled down. So it's a pattern repeating itself. That's my hypothesis.
Completely agree. And let me add to that. I think a lot of it too is a lot of these women, from what I've seen, and I've done extensive research, and by that I mean I've watched like 20 million videos on Instagram and TikTok. I think it's important. A lot of these women are male centered. And what do I mean by
Yeah,
that? Male centered women are women that constantly and consistently seek the approval of men,
men. Yeah,
all men, their husbands, their sons, their every. So to them, validation comes from the male gaze and male approval. So if a male says they're good, then they're good, period. And so I think that when they have boys, they see them as another like vector of like love and validation
and approval. Yeah,
and approval. And when they have daughters, they see them as competition.
it's
That's the issue.
incestuous and disgusting.
It's giving Oedipus complex, and that's what Freud talked about. And if you weren't familiar with the story of Oedipus, the Greek tragedy is very, go look it up.
You're like, do your homework.
It's gross.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it comes from the Greek tragedy of Oedipus. So ooh, it's gross. But just to
I
give
mean,
you,
even
tell
let's
me.
talk about the Bible for a minute.
Oh my God.
Let's get controversial. But Adam and Eve, and then their children, and then how they had what are their names? Fucking, I don't know. The kid that
Ooh.
slept with his mom, etc., etc.
Are we talking about Cain and Abel? No, those were the ones
Yes.
that, yes, yes.
Wasn't Abel that slept with his mom?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Pretty sure. It
Anyway,
was one of them.
it's given Bible. Anyway.
It's well, and the Bible will give a lot of incest. It's everywhere. I don't know if any of you have actually read the story of Noah and the ark. Noah and his daughter had an interesting relationship, but what do
Yeah.
I know? I just read the Bible. Anyway, so for a quick definition, with boy moms, we're very much talking about,
Boy mom's trademark.
boy moms trademarked. Okay. The vibe is I'm raising a little gentleman who takes me on dates. That's the corner of Instagram that we're talking
You know
about
what's
here.
weird? Like in their mind, that makes sense. They're raising a gentleman who will treat women right, right? That's their
Yeah,
mentality, sort of.
but also in the same breath, they'll say, I'm doing all this for my son so that no little bitch could ever compare.
Right.
So
Yeah.
already they've created this imaginary enemy in whoever their son ends up with,
Yeah.
which is gross. It's also, there's the whole he's only 7, but he's already the man of the house. The boy moms are about a step away from writing a love ballad to their kindergartner. That's the crowd that we're talking about here, right? So I know some boy moms. Um, and when I
I
say,
wonder who doesn't have the pleasure or displeasure. of knowing a boy mom.
of knowing a boy mom. And also, I think it's important, like, I don't know. Again, we've talked about this on the pod often, Fonzie, about how if you have this weird behavior that you've never even like thought about or whatever, it's like, do you have friends? Do you have a trusted adult in your life that would come to you and be like, "Hey, this
You're
is
not okay.
this is weird. This is weird, and I'm
But
afraid you're giving this
okay, not to
child."
get political, but it's the same. I promise you, it's the same people that voted for the president. Convince them otherwise.
It's the same people that are like, "Why is measles all of a sudden a thing again?"
Right.
No,
Convince
no.
these people otherwise.
Yeah.
I dare you.
I try. Go for it. Yeah. They'll pull out some freaking Breitbart
You
article.
can show these boy moms like why it's so wrong in so many levels.
Yes.
I promise you, you're gonna lose the argument.
You're gonna lose the argument.
Even if, and I quote, you're a liberal with facts.
Dude, I love this. I actually saw this video. Someone was like, "Oh, here's a playbook on how you win an argument with a liberal." And I'm like, "Oh, okay. Let's see."
Yeah, I saw that. It was
Did you
so
see this one?
gross.
And she opens her opening line is like, "The problem is like most liberals are like college
Look
educated."
smart. Yeah.
And I'm like, is that supposed to be a zinger? Like, is that supposed
Right.
to be like a gotcha? Like, I don't
Right.
understand.
Yeah.
Where is the insult
And
here?
then it
I
ends with logic. I'm like, oh no, it was common sense. That's the word she
It was
used. She was
common
like,
sense. It was
you
common
beat them
sense.
with common sense. And I was like, common sense? Where's the common sense in that?
Right.
Like
I mean, just
who's the common? Let's talk about this common. It
yeah. So it's so bizarre to me. It's nuts.
is bizarre. Yeah.
So there's that, but I think also like it's this weird thing where to me sometimes this whole boy mom thing, I also think about how we're all supposed to be really worried about the male loneliness epidemic. And then like you start to dig in deeper. And maybe we'll have a standalone episode about this because I have a lot of thoughts. But you start to dig deeper into the loneliness epidemic. And I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Toxic masculinity. But oh no, when you start digging into why men think they're lonely, guess whose fault it is? Women. It's
La
women's
mama.
fault.
Yep.
It's women's fault. It's us. Yeah. And then they're listing the problems, and it's all problems that the patriarchy created, which is the system built by men, but it's somehow women's fault. You see what I'm saying? So it's like I feel like with boy moms, it's
It's
that
a
like I
vicious
saw
cycle.
it's a
Hmm.
vicious cycle because I saw a lot of videos Fonzie, where they're like, I just want my boy to grow up knowing that he's number one and he's appreciated and loved. And I'm like,
Here's the thing, I get that, but that should be all of your children.
right, right.
Because
So
then
like,
you create a little narcissist motherfucker
yes.
who's all into himself and he thinks he's God gifts to earth and he needs to find what was that term?
Oh,
A
a high value woman.
high value woman because
Yes.
he's a high value man.
Man. They think it's a high value man and he's just fucking Craig from down the street
Once
who like
again, barf.
barf. Yeah. So I
Look, here's the thing. If your mama is kissing your ballsack at 30 years old, at 30 years old, you have a problem, and it's called a boy mom.
kissing
It is
Bolsa.
not okay.
No, it's not okay. That's assault. In most states, actually. Actually. Um I
Yeah.
Oh my
And that
God.
creates narcissistic assholes. That's the problem with it.
That's the problem.
I think that's
Yeah.
my main beef with like boy mom situations. Cause like I didn't know that term per se, but I know of those people, right? And
Yes.
so
Yeah.
like that's my main beef with it is like you're not raising a valuable asset to society, ma'am.
I love that. What are you adding to
Yeah, you're
society by
subtracting
raising?
from society. Like, what is your problem?
You're taking away from society. No,
Yes,
I agree.
these people are consuming my fucking oxygen.
I'm probably gonna have to sit next to some boy, in a freaking, emergency
Also,
room
let's be real, all
someday.
these fucking boy moms turn out to be gay. So you're creating
Is
a
that a
problem
thing? Is
to
there a
every.
pipeline? There's a pipeline, isn't there?
Oh, I'm pretty
Probably.
sure.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
be real. No woman is gonna like put up with that fucking buffoonery. Like, I would hope no woman would. And
No.
so the only ones
Yeah.
that put up with that shit is gay men. And guess what? Gay men have a lot of opinions and will suck your dick, but will leave you on red and block you after you're gone.
And see, and all the lies your mom told you about being a high value man, there they go.
Correct.
Right out the window. Bye. Yeah.
Also, high value man, it just sounds offensive.
Because it is. Because not to them, right? Like that whole high value man, high value woman thing is like born out of the manosphere, right? Like all the 4chan chats and all this stuff. And it really is an offshoot of like incel culture
Yeah,
where,
it's
you know,
gross to say
it's
the
so
least.
disgusting. The high value man is an entrepreneur who isn't tempted by women, which is code for no one will fuck me. And then, or like, you know what I mean? And then they're like, you're all about the gym and you're all about getting your money and like all this stuff. And so they're really focused on creating this shell, this shiny shell, right? And their whole thing is if you're a high value man, then you will attract a high value woman.
I think here's the thing. I wouldn't find that term high value man so offensive if it had a positive connotation with it, you know?
If it wasn't misogynistic, yeah,
Correct. And if it
yeah,
wasn't misogynistic and narcissistic, like if it didn't have
yes,
those two terms attached to it, then it'd be great. Because, like,
yeah,
if you put a high value man up to standards of, like, I'm empathetic, I care about animals, I care about people, I care about education, I care about, like, well
the
being, I care
environment,
about health, I care about women, I care about children, etc., then that'd be great. But if it comes to, like, I care about
money,
me,
yeah.
then you're creating a menace to society. And I think that menace to society belongs in the trash. And mommy's gonna have to pick up those pieces.
I know notes. We're gonna take a quick break and we're gonna come back with a few boy mom behavior examples so you can spot it in the wild. We'll be right back.
Right back. So we're
All right,
back.
we're back. Hi, guys. We are back. And on the break, Fonzie said something very, very important about this dynamic, right? Between like high value men, high value women, and like how we perceive who's at fault in society. Please tell the people what you just told me on the break that you
Yeah,
find
for me,
this stuff.
it's kind of mind blowing because I've heard it not to throw anyone under the bus, but actually to fucking put you on the screen.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
And I'm saying this because it happened to us. Like growing up, like I used to be, emphasis on used to be, very smart. And I was like top of the class all the time and whatever. And I was a little goody two shoes. And they would always give my dad props, you know? And for some odd reason, all my successes were because of my dad. Little did they know, my dad had zero to do with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this whole idea of like when a man succeeds, it's like, wow, brava to the dad. You raised a great man. And then when the man fails, they're like, oh, your mama didn't teach you well. I think it's like complete bullshit because let's be real, there are very little men that actually take the time to educate and be, you know, there present for their children. There are very little men who actually take the time to do that. It's unfortunate. Um,
It's seen as
and
woman's labor. That's
yeah,
it.
it's very
Yeah.
unfortunate, and the ones that do sometimes fail because of how the patriarchy is fucking built. Like they are
Yeah.
built and programmed in a certain way. Like they
Yes.
teach their kids a certain way of being
Being.
that is based on that patriarchy, and it fucking blows because like even if you're a great father and you're trying to teach your kid, whether it be a girl or a boy, right, you end up failing because you're teaching him to be part of the current society and to be part of like what
Exactly.
is acceptable and isn't, and it sucks. Once
Exactly.
again,
It's yeah. Yeah.
failures or accomplishments should not fall on one parent or the other. I
No.
think it's a matter of like there are two, or maybe, yeah, if they're divorcees, like there's one parent that
Yeah.
raised you, and you know, you shouldn't give credit to the parent itself. Like that's another thing, and that's for a whole other episode. But I think a lot of the times, and it happened to me where like, you know, of course I learned a lot from my mother, and I'm so thankful for that because she's a very intelligent woman, like you've met her
Yes.
before. But you also take a lot of the things that you learn and you make your own thing with it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And I know a lot of men, especially straight men, are capable of building their own criteria and their own thought process. I hate that we throw so much shade at straight men. The reality is,
I
you guys
don't.
have two brain cells.
I don't. I feel no shame. No, I don't. I think it's well deserved because
I think it's
yeah.
just privilege, the privilege that they will never understand. Because, for example, queer people, we go through a lot more. Women go through a lot more. So, like, in that sense, we have to think and act and process differently than straight privileged men have to. And so, like, they don't develop that survival skill, if you may, that queer and women do.
Or
Like,
yeah, like adaptability, right? Like I think
right,
that's one thing that and no, I zero qualms and here's why. The thing is you I would be much more open to, being like, "Oh yeah, like I bet it'd be hard if the default setting for 99% of men is not to blame women or blame queer folks for the descent of society, right? Or, the nuclear family is going away. When we're talking about nuclear families, we always talk about single moms, right? But never the dads, right? And so you don't get to come and bitch about a system you built. And not just you built and your forebears, but a system you benefit from.
right. I
Period.
think,
Have
and
no,
this is
yeah,
important to, I know it's like way far from like the boy mom situation, but like, I think there are exclusions to everything. There are some
yeah,
straight men that think outside the box, and I applaud you guys.
definitely.
And I need more of you to be represented
And
as
to speak
a
up.
normal, yeah.
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
need more less of like because they think differently, because they act differently, because they're, let's be real, they're real men.
correct.
I need them to be seen more as the norm versus like, oh, you're weird, you're different, or oh, you're a closeted gay. No, They're real
No.
men acting like real men. Yeah,
They're the leveled up prototype.
exactly.
They're the evolution.
Outside the box. Yes.
Yeah, they're not the devolution.
They're the
Good
evolution.
men are
Yeah,
the step up,
correct.
right? The men that decided to think outside the box.
Yeah, going
That
back
should be lauded.
to the comment before we went on break, like they're the men that have empathy. They're the men that actually think of anyone outside themselves, you know?
Right, exactly. No, 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 absolutely. And I think that's why the whole boy mom thing freaking blows my mind because it's a bunch of these people creating little monsters that are just they're gonna be some other woman's problem at some point, or hopefully,
Unfortunately,
hopefully, a good chunk of them, ends
end
up
up single.
single or
That would be
gay.
the prime situation, where like these boy moms end up single forever because they deserve it, because
Yes,
it's their mom's fault.
yes,
But
yeah. So,
unfortunately, there are women that'll give in to that situation and they want to raise these boy moms.
which I know, because like for example, here's one. A boy mom posted a photo of her son, 5-year-old son, holding a rose. And she captioned the photo, "He opened the car door for me and told me I was beautiful. Sorry, ladies, he's already taken.
Ew.
By me."
It was great up until the sorry ladies.
What kind of mental gymnastics do you have to get through?
Okay, let's be real. Her husband's probably cheating on her
Definitely.
with his secretary, and she needs attention. And that's why she's making those
Again,
kinds of gross posts,
these are things
because
you
she's not brave
resolve.
enough to get a side dick.
Correct. And these are things you resolve in therapy. You don't go make another human to feel the gaping hole, okay, in your psyche,
Metaphorically and literally.
metaphorically and literally. Okay. Gross. This is another one. Um, this TikTok shows a mom having a full-on candlelit dinner with her 4-year-old, complete with wine glasses, grape juice, whatever, but still, and soft jazz playing. She called it a date night with the love of my life.
I literally have nothing to say but barf.
Again, who is checking in on these people?
Let's focus on the queer and trans people.
Literally, right? But drag queens reading to children is grooming. Okay, whatever. Um, this one's another one. I love this one. Uh, a mom got a custom onesie for her baby uh, that said, "Ladies, I'm single and my mom is accepting applications." But the over sexualization of children, drag queens.
Yep.
It's you know what it was that infant probably saw a pride flag once and was like turned immediately. Can't even tell colors yet, not really, but the baby was like, "Hey," started snapping.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Slapping the fan.
clapping the fan. Yeah, yeah. Its
Um,
first word was Trixie.
we can only hope.
We can only hope. Honestly, I'd want to hang out with that baby. But but yeah, like I just don't understand. And I think things like this
I
really,
really want to have a serious conversation with one of these boy moms and like try to see where the logic is coming from.
I
But I
mean,
can promise you her husband is cheating on her
dude,
and she
100%.
lacks affection.
Completely,
Yeah.
completely, completely. But again, it's like I do want to touch again really quickly on like how this then turns into something later on in life because I saw this podcast clip with Bob the drag queen. And he has a great book out right now, by the way, guys, go buy it. It's fanfic about Harriet Tubman. You should go read it and buy it. Anyways, um, he was on this podcast with a straight dude, and he made this straight dude very uncomfortable. Because if you
Love
don't
to see it.
know, I mean, if you don't know who Bob the drag queen is and you're listening to this podcast, I love that you somehow ended up here. But
Watch the
here,
trainers.
watch RuPaul's Drag Race. But if you're not familiar with Bob, he's a very, very tall man. Okay, he's like 6'2", 6'3".
Yeah.
He's very physically imposing out of drag, and even in drag in the best way.
Yeah.
But anyway, um, he's telling this guy that he modifies his behavior when he's out of drag and he's around women. He's like, women, if they don't know who I am and I'm walking down the street, I'm very scary to a woman. He's like, and I know that. And the guy laughs and he's like, why would you be? And he's like, oh, because women get killed by men all the time. And you know, Bob, like that's how he said it, right? Very
Right.
like, and this guy starts laughing. And Bob is like making a point. He's like, no, no, no. He's like, this is a very real thing. And this guy thinks it's a bit. And you just see the complete disconnect between this gay man being very aware because he's queer of what it feels like to be the target of someone. And that's why Bob can speak to how a woman might feel if they see him out of drag coming down the street. And this straight dude,
Zero fucks.
zero fucks, straight over his head, thinks it's a joke and thinks it's not a real thing.
Yeah.
And so when you see things like that, you're like, this is society, like as a whole, right?
And okay, I know like you and I are both feminist and I know you and
Yeah,
I, try to, push for women and like stand up for women and stuff. The unfortunate side to this is like there are women out there that actually give into that bullshit.
they do. They do.
They not only give in, they
Centered women.
vote for
Yes.
this bullshit.
Yeah.
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 Cringy as fuck.
And those are the women raising
Boy
these boys.
moms. Yes.
Yeah. So it's like, it's very, very shocking. We'll definitely clip that for you because that conversation with Bob was both so validating, but also infuriating, right? Because Bob's like trying to make a very important point. Just poof, straight
Yep.
up. And again, couldn't love Bob, the drag queen more ever. One of my faves.
Yeah.
This is another one. You're gonna love this. This one is more on like boundaries. And somebody posted about their 4-year-old. They said, he's my protector, my best friend, my reason.
I wish our Spotify listeners could see that impression.
I just picture it. You know what I picture? I picture that girl that we all knew in high school who like you knew this bitch was gonna peak in high school, right? And then she like married whoever she was dating in high school or whatever. And then they get up like to do the toast at their wedding and they're like, Ryan, I know we've had a really rough road, mostly rough, but we made it because after every storm, there's the sunshine. Like, very that, like full of like platitudes and like whatever. Like, that's what this is. Like, my son, my protector, my best friend, my reason. No, bitch, he's 4. Like, he just ate a crayon or his boogers. Like, what are you talking about? I just come on. I
Like all these stories just make me want to run to the restroom and throw up.
just like what the, and again, like you said, I I, I would consider uh I've seen boy moms in my life and my family life. And when I tell you the devastation that is created, okay, by coddling men from birth, it's, let's
Mind
just
blown.
say a tsunami has like nothing on it
Yeah.
whatsoever, right? Even
Yeah, I
being
think
as
you and
sensational.
I will have both seen it in our family where like the male is favorited. I'm not
Oh
saying my
yeah,
direct family because my mother's pretty like, straightforward with everyone.
yes, she is.
But yeah, I think we have all seen it where like, our grandmas kind of favorite the male in the family for some odd fucking reason, like they're gods or some shit, and they're just fucking closed-minded bigots.
And it's just one
Yeah. Yeah.
that whose biggest accomplishment is like not being in prison, I guess. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Meanwhile, there's the daughters with like college degrees, fucking certifications, have kept the house together for
Well
years.
traveled, they're the
Yes.
leaders, et cetera, and they are just another
Yeah.
piece of the
But,
puzzle for some odd
God
fucking reason.
forbid they're fat or something. I don't
Yeah.
know. Uh, this one's another one. You'll love this one. Um, This is specifically about the boy moms that are like, my son is my king, my man, my world territory. Okay. Um, this one is a birthday post, and it said, "You walked into my life and showed me where real love was. I'll always be your girl, baby." This is for an 8-year-old's post. I love the idea that she's like, "You walked into my life. Courtney,
You
you raw
spread your
dogged."
legs.
Correct. You spread your legs, raw dogged in Vegas, bitch. Okay. And then little Kyle was born. I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I just showed me where real love was. What are you talking about?
Like I said, these women have problems. And it
They
stems from society. But
matching outfits, fonts. They do that. This is the thing. So far, we've only given examples of like, oh, kids, toddlers. No, no, no. These bitches cannot be stopped. Okay. There's mom and son wedding themed photos, meaning like when the son gets married, the mom demands her own wedding photo shoot.
barf. It is
Barf.
not your wedding to your son.
It's, again,
Oh, also, before we
yeah,
close out,
yeah.
can we normalize like
Let's hear it.
mothers? I know you love your son,
Okay.
regardless of whether you're a boy mom or not.
Not, yeah.
I'm speaking directly to boy moms, but
Yes.
um, can we normalize the mother not having a say in the wedding? That goes to boy moms and mothers of the brides. It is not your wedding. It is not your say. It is your daughter or your son's wedding. Just let them have it. They chose someone to spend their life with. Don't.
Just stop.
Yeah,
I
I don't know
completely
what else to
agree.
say.
Um, I think that whenever you have, I can't tell you how many Reddit posts I've seen of boy moms like this, being upset that they can't wear white to the wedding.
That's fucking gross.
Um, Being upset.
Here's the thing. It's gross enough that society expects the bride to wear white.
Right,
They're
boring.
supposed to be
Right.
pure and virgin, whatever, whatever. No one's a virgin. Let's get
I would
over it.
hope not. I would hope not. Yeah.
Have some dick before you get married.
Yeah. No.
Anyway, no one's a virgin, so no one's wearing white for that reason.
Yes.
Maybe it looks good on their skin tone. Um, so that's enough pressure, but
Right.
why the fuck does the mother want to wear white? What does it mean to you?
I don't know if you guys have seen
Disgusting.
disgusting. I don't know if you guys have seen Braveheart, okay? But in the movie Braveheart, uh, they talk about the concept of prima nocta, okay? And this is like a medieval concept in which the king had the right to deflower a new bride on her wedding day. Like the king got to deflower her before even her husband did.
For those
Okay?
of you that don't know what deflower means, look it up.
Look it up because it's gross. Anyway, so yes. So it's giving that where they're like, I get to be a bride too. Like I get to, and I'm like, no, dude.
It
Like
is not your wedding. You had your
it's
moment. Maybe
not
you
your
didn't.
wedding.
Either way, get over it.
It's yeah,
Grow the fuck up.
grow up. It's the same women that are like, I was his first love. Were you,
Go
Karen?
to a therapist.
Were you? God, I just,
Yeah.
I I wish I could just dig around. Actually, no, I don't. I feel like if I were to dig around in the brain of these women, I would come up more messed up than I already am, and that would be a feat. I'm convinced you can't traumatize me more than I've already been traumatized in my
No,
life.
believe me, they will beat you. They're just delulu as fuck.
Listen, and you guys know, I do, ascribe to the philosophy of Delulu being the Salulu, but I feel like in this situation, we're not there. Like this is weird. This is
This is
pathological.
way ahead of delulu. It's way past delulu. We're not at delulu. We're at incest. We know that that's
Right.
not
It's a
delulu.
full circle. I feel like
Yeah.
we went like this,
Like
really
10
quick.
times.
Yes, and I'm sorry. Maybe this is offensive. And if you're offended by this,
You're welcome.
you're welcome. You popped out a male human being. You're not special. Millions and millions and
Look
millions.
at history.
Look, I was gonna say, look at history. Um, some woman gave birth to Hitler. You know, you can't really control much of that. I don't know, but I wonder if that lady would have had an Instagram, what she would have
Well,
been
I
posting.
mean, let's not go that far. Some woman gave birth to Trump, and that woman actually said her son was a menace to society and he should never be president.
So
With that,
with that, please let us know if you have a boy mom in your life.
if you're a boy mom, if you think your son is the most important thing in your life and you think he's the love of your life and the only reason for your being, I was going to say call us and let us know, but I'd rather you go to a therapist.
You know what you can do is you can write us an email and we'll send you a link to BetterHelp.
Yes,
And that's an online therapy service. And
you can find the help you
hopefully,
need because that is fucking
yeah,
disgusting.
it's fucking weird. And yeah, so I guess until next time, this has been
General
General
Query.
Query. Bye, guys.
Goodbye.
Bye.